Hello everyone, welcome to Black Feather Guild. Before we jump into the game and I pass everything off to Zan, I want to talk a little bit about viewer actions, how you can actually participate in the show as it's happening. There's a number of different ways that you can do so. One of the easiest ways is through the game tweet, which you'll see in chat. For every 10 interactions, that's likes, retweets, and comments, I forget what it is for this particular system. For most, it's a D4. For this one, I know it'll be a little bit different because it's Vampire the Masquerade, but a bonus goes to both the cast and to the DM. So it's a neat little way to give a little boost to everyone. You can also use guild coins a number of different ways. The biggest one being plot points, which you'll see right over here. They do a lot of different things, anywhere from an inconsequential plot effect all the way up to a major one. There's a full description of what all those mean down in the panels below. But a quick overview, the inconsequential effect is like renaming a business that they may run into. So maybe they go into a bar and you want to change the name to something that you like better. You could throw that out there. A major plot effect is usually a boon or a curse. So you can give that to a specific cast member or just to the party in general. And more or less it ends up being something that they critically need is there when they need it at a critical moment, or if it's a curse, then they don't have it, and they have to figure out something, some other way to deal with it. So it's pretty cool stuff that allows you to directly get involved. The DM does have final say on what gets added off of the plot points, so they may edit things a little bit to make it fit the story better. But generally, we'll try to stick as close as we can to whatever you'd like. Yeah, those are essentially the free ways that you can interact. There are some ways that you can interact as well, help support the channel. Those are right over here. And that's done via coffee.com/raven or raven.rocks for direct donations. You can also use subscriptions and bits for the channel. And then finally, Patreon. So our Bard tier and higher patrons get credits towards viewer actions every month that they can redeem at any point. Hey, Kent, good to see you. I just noticed you in chat there. Welcome. So a lot of different ways that you can interact. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory, but quick explanation of a couple of them. The switch allows a player to switch somebody else's action word. So to use a good example, somebody playing a bard and they're doing the stereotypical thing of trying to seduce a barmaid, the DM or another player could say switch, and the bard has to choose something other than seduce, and it can't be directly synonymous either. So it's a fun way to nudge the story around. Rolling with advantage means you roll twice and take the higher of the two results. It has to be called before the roll. A reroll is essentially the same thing, but it can be used after the roll is completed. So if you roll a nat 1 and you go, wow, I really wish I'd used an advantage, if you have a reroll, you can just use that. A complication is allows you to be the DM for a few seconds. You can type 1 to 3 sentences into chat about what you want to add, change, or remove from the scene. And again, DM has final say, but they'll try to stick as close as possible to what you like. The cast just kind of has to figure out how to work with that. It's pretty fun. Usually pretty funny, too. And then finally, swap 2 players for 5 minutes means that they swap roles. So you can have 2 different cast members playing each other's characters for 5 minutes. And that includes the DM. So it can be pretty fun. And then the 1-up just means if they would go to 0 hit points or otherwise die, they come back at just 1. So with all of that, there is a special note on this game because it is dealing with some rather dark themes, being a vampire game. Quick disclaimer. This game is going to be a program that embraces the night, so the darkness within it alongside the darkness within each of us. As such, this game may feature content that is troubling or triggering to some viewers. If you are sensitive to topics such as homelessness, drug use, blood play, violence against innocents, manipulation or gaslighting, thievery, body horror, or other monstrous themes that may arise during play, please do proceed with caution. Otherwise, we invite you to share our story here and bask in that which makes us human and that which brings out the inner beast in us all. As Zan put it, let the good times roll. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Zan to introduce the cast, and we'll get started with the story. Take it away, Zan.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction there, Raven. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the very first episode of La Famille Boucherie. Excuse my less than ideal French, but hey, we're gonna have a good time with it. So yeah, welcome to this game. This is gonna be a fantastic time. And before we get really rolling, let's introduce some of our players, and we're going to start on the left-hand side of the screen and move forward. So, at Manic Course, please introduce yourself and give us a short introduction of your character.
Okay, first, fun. My name is Tawny. I am playing a gangrel named Maeve in this game. She'll be from New Jersey, and she's not too terribly old for a vampire, maybe 30 years a vampire. So that's my girl.
Awesome. Is there any social networking links that you want to throw out so folks can find you?
Uh, Not really. My Twitter handle is right there, but I'm garbage at checking Twitter, so I apologize to anyone who wants to get a hold of me.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That will bring us next to Slowpoke. Please give us a quick introduction. Oh, we've got a new sub. Thank you so much, Michael Wayne, for that sub to Kent Weebs. Absolutely fantastic of you. Welcome to the channel, Kent, and thanks a lot, Michael. We really appreciate it. Slowpoke, take it away.
All right then. Hello everyone. My name's Slowpoke. I'm playing a Malkavian called Jet, originally from LA, and through his rather troubled time in between the West Coast and where he is now, he somehow turned into a vampire. Let's find out.
Excellent. Is there anywhere you want folks to follow you on the interwebs?
No, I don't really have anywhere, to be fair. Feel free to hit me up while on Twitch.
Sure. No worries. All right. That brings us to the one and only Michael Wayne. Please introduce yourself.
Hello there, I am Michael Wayne. You give me a clip, I'll give you a GIF. I will be playing Tabitha Tab Bell, a corporate drone that climbed up the ladder in the 80s. Think basically Mindy Sinclair, a very, but more Torador. Uh, very like Bronson skin and overly fashionist with shoulder guards and everything. Hopefully you will enjoy it.
Excellent. And now, Mr. Nuya, please let us know who you are.
I'm Nuya, and my Twitter handle is a bit different, but there it is. I'm playing a Ventrue vampire named Pastor Joseph, who was originally from South Florida, but ended up having something happen to him while on a guest sermon that he was hosting.
Excellent, nice and mysterious. And next is Natatuli.
Hi, I'm Nadatuli or Nat. I'm playing Mikey Duran, who is a young Nosferatu vampire. He's a bit of a scoundrel, thinks himself a bit of a master thief. Yeah, let's see how he gets on.
All right, and last but most certainly not least, on her second time on this channel, Test. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Test or Charlie. I play Lydia, a bruja who spent the most of her vampire life in Italy, but is originally from New Jersey, and she finds herself there again post leaving her sire.
All right, and just so we're all on equal playing terms, hello again. I'm Zan, and I'm a professional DM and content creator and a regular face on this channel, for better or worse. And if you need to catch me, you can catch me on Twitter at InsanityTTRPG or at insanitygaming.com, and I'll drop those links into chat in just a second. Don't really want to interrupt the flow while I've got the mic, though. And before we begin officially, just one quick reminder that today darkness lies ahead. La Famille Boucherie is a program that embraces the night, the darkness within it, alongside the darkness within each of us. As such, this game may feature content that is troubling or triggering to some viewers. If you're sensitive to topics such as homelessness, drug use, blood play, violence against innocence, manipulation or gaslighting, thievery, body horror, or other monstrous themes that may arise during play, please proceed with caution. Otherwise, we invite you to share our story and bask in that which makes us humans and that which brings out the beast in all of us. Laissez le bon temps brûler. Okay. So, I think it's time to get things started with a little bit of character introductions. We know briefly who each of you are, but not who you really are. We don't know the person who used to hold a pulse, the life you used to lead, or the things that used to make you smile. And I think it's time that we introduce our audience to the monsters they will be growing so close to in the coming weeks. Silas, or should I say Jet, how did you spend your mortal days?
What's left of them, I suppose. Jeff is originally from LA, grew up there, uh, figured he'd make it big or go home, you know? Bit of an outwards kind of kid. Did what he could to get the up and on whoever was around him. Very friendly, but opportunistic at times. He experienced trying to form a band, trying to make it big, make a passion out of music. Never did turn out too well. About 12 bands later, this is where he is, or that's at least where he's headed. He ended up couch hopping around the West Coast for multiple years. Uh, Caught a break in '96. Uh, Managed to get some friends, get a hold of them, managed to actually score, more of a backstage kind of role in the Kiss reunion tour. Uh, Managed to show around with them for a couple of months. Ended up in New Orleans. In New Orleans, well, he was handed a contract by a woman called Eleanor Leroy. Said she was, well, she was supposed to, you know, she was supposed to represent some anonymous investor or multiple. At the time, the money was good, shady, but it was good. I took it. Within the month, I was turned, unwillingly so. Make the best of it.
Unwillingly so. Can you
Yeah.
describe to us the night that your heart stopped beating?
Sudden and very intoxicated. Very much out of it. It worked. For her, I suppose. Eleanor became my sire during that. We have a connection that, well, the blood bond is strong and hard to deal with at times. For now, I'm more of an intelligence gatherer. So what I'm really good at and want to be recognized for is my craftsmanship. Instead of playing music, I wanted to understand the music, understand the people, understand their instruments, and that's what I focused on. Though that's now just become a way in for Leroy to put me in whatever position she wants me to. So that's my story.
Excellent. Excellent. Miss Tabitha, Tab, who were you when you could still feel the sun on your face?
Well, there wasn't very much of a difference. I was a corporate drone before, and I was a corporate drone after. I very much focused on enjoying that of life. Uh, while in life, I did many things that were, let's say, on the subterfuge side of things, and enjoyed in a nice bit of play in the kinks, where I found the lady. They enjoyed my work, and thus we entered into agreement for a while till I proved worthwhile. She gave an utter embrace. The last breaths left my heart, only to be entered with the much sweeter morose of her own blood. It was a dance. Yeah, as we both drank a little of each.
And in that dance, you found not only passion, but purpose and a new gnawing hunger, not in your stomach, but in your very soul. What have you done to occupy these nights of your new life?
Well, I mostly have done my job to serve the lady, and both through the legal as well as putting on a good show. No, because we need to circulate those blood.
Excellent. Very good. Next, Father, Pastor Joseph. Who were you when the touch of the cross in your hand did not burn?
Joseph was a passionate and devout man. He was always uh, with purpose and followed the Bible very thoroughly. He led a popular Christian church in South Florida. Um, he built the church with his own bare hands, and he was an architect earlier before he became a pastor. And he lived a loving life with his daughter Esther and his wife Jasmine, where everything was just modest and peaceful, just simple job and a simple way of life. But one day he was invited to Louisiana to make a guest sermon in one of the churches where he gave a powerful message about faith over fear. For if you have just a little bit of fear, there's no room for any faith. And it was a very powerful message, and people were swayed. And after the sermon was over, he invited people for a private session about prayer and things that are troubling them. It's a very vulnerable moment where the Lord enters through them and gives them their answers. But some had other agendas, and it didn't quite end up so well for Joseph during that moment.
I see. Can you tell us anything about your sire?
He was someone who was very interested about the power to sway people and having influence over others. When he woke up the next time, he was confused clearly, and he was hinted about answers about his condition and what he has to do from now on. And he accepted, but he doesn't want to let his devotions and devout nature sway him.
I see. It's every day is an internal struggle with the beast. The father on your shoulder guiding you and watching you, but the beast in your belly pulling you, the darkness in your heart every day craving more and more that which makes you inhuman.
Exactly.
Excellent. Mikey, please introduce us to this creature of the night.
Yeah, so I'm from England, and I moved over here when I was about 14, and it was really unsettling for me. I lost all my friends. My dad had a big shot job here, and he wasn't really around much. And my mother didn't really care too much either. So I kind of drifted through, dropped out of school, etc. Didn't really do much of my life, and then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I've got this new tech startup. Do you want to, do you want to come and work for me?" And I was like, "Sure." I had nothing else to do, and get some money. Why not? So yeah, I spent some years there, and I think I was quite good. I'm okay with computers, and I just never really got anywhere. And I felt like I was doing enough to get a promotion. And my friend was like, "Oh, don't worry about it, Mikey. It's you'll get there." And it just never happened. And yeah, I met my wife there, and we have a young son. Had a young son. I guess he's still around. But I just wasn't getting anywhere. And one day this guy came up to me after work and said, how about you do some work for me? And I'm like, why not? He was offering a lot of dollars. He wanted me to do some shady stuff, a bit of stealing, stuff like that. And I've done that stuff before, low key. So I was like, sure, whatever, maybe this is my break. So turned out the first job was stealing from my own company, which I guess was convenient. But I don't owe this company anything. They've never given me anything. So yeah, I pulled it off, and nobody really noticed. It was blamed on some interns, and life carried on. And I got more jobs, and I was getting quite good at it. I wasn't really getting caught. Sure, there was some buzz in the paper about a thief, but no one had a clue who it was, and the cops had no idea. So yeah, and I was just getting bored with this tech job because what excited me now was my other life, in the night. And yeah, and one day my friend was just like, no, it's just not working anymore. We need to let you go. And yeah, fair enough. So I left. I told my wife, and it's not really what she wanted. Some deadbeat guy for a husband. I told her, I've got other income, I've got other ways of making money. She just wasn't interested, so she kicked me out. I'm on the streets for a few years, drinking quite a bit. I was still working for Damien. Turns out he's in some gang, basically, and I'm not really in the gang, but I'm kind of an outsider. And yeah, and one night, this other dude comes up to me. His name's Solomon. He's got this big hood over his face, and he's got this deep voice, and I just can't make out his features. But he says he knows Damien, he's a friend, and says that he can help me be better and be better at what I'm doing, make me a better thief, and teach me some things, and give me some power, some kind of blood drug. And I'm like, well, I've got nothing to lose, so sure. So yeah, that was what I guess was called the embrace, or whatever kindred call it. And yeah, now I'm way better at what I was doing before, and I'm still doing all these jobs, and I'm still making money, and yeah, I guess I'm starting to have some kind of purpose finally in my life, and it's pretty good.
The purpose you found has come with a price, though. As being part of the Nosferatu clan, anytime your visage catches your own eye, your stomach can't help but turn, and you taste cold iron in the back of your throat as you resist the urge to lose your last meal. The horrifying image that you've become, not only a creature of the night, but a monster in your own rights. And for our two characters that will be journeying to join the party, Maeve, please tell us how you struggled before you took the embrace.
Life has always been a little touch and go. My parents worked in the steel industry in southern Jersey. My father was in steel manufacturing, and my mother made car parts in a factory. But when I was about 12, the industry started declining, and well, we eventually lost the house and ended up all going in the car to the outside of Trenton. We lived out of a motel for a while. My mother and father and my uh, younger brother and sister, twins. But money eventually ran out, even though mom picked up every shift she could at the diner up the street, and dad did odd jobs where he could find them. And we ended up in a tent city about 3 miles out of town center. Um, and that was kind of life after that. It was difficult, and I went to school, but it was always a struggle for me to succeed academically. And I picked up some skills in the community, in the tent city, and uh, it was uh, more profitable to just go into the city center and uh, play my guitar on the side of the road for a while and earn some cash, and help my younger brother and sister through school. Um, but my friend, everything is clouded. What was my friend? Uh, she was always better at everything than I was, especially academically speaking. But we always stayed close, Taryn and I. And she came to the tent city often, even after she managed to get out and start college with an uncle that started sponsoring her after her mother, who was estranged from the family, died. But once you live in a tent city, it's kind of what home feels like when you've been there for years. And living in a dorm room afterwards is, I mean, I've been in one of those places. It's like a jail cell. Um, so she came one day, and I warned her that there had been uh, someone going around from tent city to tent city, spreading some sort of plague, some sort of disease. And it wasn't too bad, but the wrong disease in the wrong season can wipe out a tent city. And we got drunk that night, and she wandered off, probably to use the bathroom. And she didn't come back for a while, and I went to follow her, and I found her in the arms of somebody, and I was like, I just told you there's a disease spreader. What are you doing? But her knees were buckled, and she wasn't standing on her own, and her arms were limp. And so I yelled, and whatever had her dropped her and charged me. I remember trying to swing, but just my back slamming into the ground and kicking, and then getting headbutted, and then darkness. That's everything around that time is kind of fuzzy, but that's when I got changed from what I was to what I am.
And who do you owe this gift of a second life to?
The sheriff of the local principality was actually in the tent city looking for this disease spreader, who before I didn't realize it was one of the kindred, but now, yeah, he was there to put that kind of thing down, and didn't get there quite quick enough to keep my skull from being fractured, but gave me a second chance as one of the kindred, as among the gangrel. So I owe my second life to Shane.
Excellent. And with this new life brings new responsibilities. With someone as important as a sheriff or a scourge as they're known in other territories, you have a lot to live up to. And finally, Lydia, please tell us who you were before this dark passenger of the beast joined your back.
In my human life, I was a child worker in New Jersey. Unfortunately, that comes with consequences to your health, and I suffered from pneumonia and almost died of asphyxiation. I was, however, lucky enough to beat the ailment, but my mother wanted to spare me from another chance at suffering again, or straight on death. My aunt in Italy offered to take me on as her farmhand, and my mother and my aunt coordinated some funds to get me overseas. And so I grew up on a farm in Italy, and a farmhand paid my dowry, and without me having a say in it, swooped me away from my family, from my chance of going home, and I became his wife. He was droll. I was kept. It was obnoxious, and I would not lay with him. In fact, I would visit the apothecary in town and secure medicines that would ensure I would not have a baby. I swore to him I was barren. I did it in secret. And at the age of 27, I was kidnapped. I guess someone had seen me go through town. I'm not sure how they knew me, but he swept me away. At first, I was belligerent, but I thought it was adventurous and exciting. Definitely improvement on my life so far. I still missed home, but it was better than being a farmhand, and it was better than being a kept wife. His name was Horatio Ciccarelli, and he waited for me to come around before he offered me the embrace. And once he did, I took it willingly, and we engaged in adventures as equals. Eventually, he found a younger woman, and I was upset. I thought I would be his only, but, I guess. So Horatio and I split ways because he wanted the younger woman and because I wanted to not see that. And I went back to America, to New Jersey. I embraced the night, I loved it. I became a seamstress, a waitress, a hostess, a harem mother, taking odd jobs here and there, but business really got me. Business. Turns out I have an eye for business, keen. And that eventually led for me to go into the stock market. I became an overnight stock trader, an occupation that I currently hold. New Jersey life is, well, the nightlife is exciting. Try not to get into too much trouble, but as a lone vampiress, it's not easy. That's how I came into contact with Maeve, actually.
And how do you regard Maeve?
She and the I guess the sheriffs, they saved me from an altercation, and we've been on good terms ever since. I respect the law.
And with this, you found yourself amongst the rank of the Camarilla.
Loosely running, but yes.
Excellent. Excellent. I think it's on one of these nights, Lydia and Maeve sharing a quiet conversation in a long closed restaurant, that you see Maeve's sire walk through the door. His face a little more dour, a little more grim than you normally see it. Maeve, can you describe your sire for us?
He's middle-aged looking. He's dark-haired, dark-eyed Irishman. He's a little shorter than you expect. If he approaches you and you stand up, he has a big presence and not quite the height to match, but you still get the impression that you don't want to cross him.
Lydia, who does he see as he enters this room? Please describe yourself.
I am frail and average height. Fair because of, the night. With a slightly olive toned skin. My hair is long and kept in a dark braid. Long and dark and kept in a braid. And I prefer to wear makeup. Tonight I'm wearing the reddest of lipsticks. And I give myself a little beauty mark even though it's fake. I'm in a dress, as per usual, but flats for comfort.
I see. And Maeve, who does your sire see as he walks into the diner?
Someone rather similar to him. My hair's a little lighter, but I keep it long and it's kind of perpetually shaggy, regardless of how much I brush it. I have brown eyes and pale skin. Irish doesn't go very far in the olive tones, unfortunately, but I tend to wear very comfortable clothes that I can move around in easily. So currently I'm wearing a black v-neck t-shirt, probably military style, like cargo pants and combat boots.
See. And though his expression is grim, his eyes do show a small light when they come across you. He makes his way over to the booth that you're both sitting in, sometimes chatting comfortably, sometimes enjoying the silence in a unspoken bond. And he does not sit. He stands. Maeve, Lydia, it's good to see you both.
It's good to see you.
Likewise.
You look a little grim.
There's been some troubling reports coming from some family of mine in the South. And
what do you need from me?
A favor has been called in, and I'm afraid I can't go. I need you, my child, to act in my stead.
Of course.
Very well. I know you and Lydia are close.
We are.
Yes.
And Lydia, you've yet to take an oath to this domain. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Very well. I think I may have found you a chance to earn that opportunity if it's something you're interested in.
I'm very interested. Thank you.
Very well. I. Hey, thanks for the new follower, PDJR Allenstrom. Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. We're just getting into some dramatic quest giving. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. We really appreciate it. And Maeve, your sire looks to you and says, "We are you ready to travel?"
Always.
And Lydia, you as well?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. At 1 hour till the sun's birth, a van will be here. I need each of you to head to the city of New Orleans and act as my proxy. The city of New Orleans is a strange and very different place from here in the Northeast, but they seem to have found a way to make things work, despite how unconventional they may seem. Please stay on guard. Do the prince's beckoning. And importantly, remember that you will always have a home to come back to, should you wish.
Okay.
And with that, he leaves a small shoulder bag on the table. Inside, you hear the jingling of keys, the heavy clank of what must be some small arm hitting the table. And he smiles and says, "I knew that I could count on the two of you. You'll find everything ready, set up. I've already got a place for you to stay, a car, and should you find yourself in any danger, I'm sure you'll be equipped to take care of it. Any ties you need to sever, any goodbyes you need to say them now, and return here 1 hour before dawn."
Okay. Lydia, do you need to get anything?
No, I'm ready.
All right.
Then let's enjoy each other's company for what little time we have left. And he sits down and converses with you, forcing a smile, knowing the danger that he's about to send each of you into. The time passes, and before long, a U-Haul truck arrives. You open the door, find it's filled with furniture and two cramped but survivable sleeping containers. One a set of drawers, hollowed on the inside, the other a chest freezer, unplugged from the wall. As he closes the door to the U-Haul, he says, "I know you'll both do me proud." And you hear the door slam shut and lock as the truck begins to move. And that's where we'll leave our two vampires making their way into the city. Mikey, describe to us what you're doing on a normal night.
I'd have found myself a nice alley somewhere, in the shadows, hood pulled over my face. I'll probably be drinking. I'll be listening. Yeah, whiling the hours away unless I've been given some tasks to do.
No, no task, not yet at least, as you feel your phone buzz in your pocket.
Okay, I will take it out and have a look.
You look, and it's a familiar name, a familiar number, asking you to go to a pickup location to be taken to the prince's manor.
Okay, yeah, I'll tap back a quick sure boss, and I'll grab my things and start making my way there.
All right. This location is solidly in the downtown. You know these roads and you know these streets. You move quickly, quietly. Both your clothing and the natural shadows of the night giving you aid in keeping your face and true presence hidden. At the drop off point, you see an old, very old car. And there's a man in a gray suit sitting in the passenger seat, cigar alight, who seems to notice your presence instantly as he nods and gestures to the back door.
Do I recognize him at all?
You do not.
Okay, I will do as I'm told, and I will enter the car.
The figure turns to greet you, dark mirrored glasses obscuring most of his face, with a traditional taxi driver's cab hat atop his head, though it looks like his sense of style may be a little out of fashion. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, sir. I hear you've got a big night ahead of you.
Yeah, apparently. Just found out about it. Don't really know what's going on, but yeah, I'm ready to go.
Oh, well, you know what they say. Good things may take time, but great things happen real fast.
I hope so.
He drives, taking the scenic route uptown, all the way to Jackson Avenue. And this is an area of town that you know is off limits to you. This is where the elders live. This is where the people who are above your line of work, the people who ask for your kind of work, live. This is a strange and unsettling place, aware of the prince, but having never actually met. You feel anxiety start to bubble. Is this a new job prospect? Or have you crossed the wrong client? Only the night will tell. Do you attempt to make conversation or prepare in any way during the drive?
Hey, look, has there been some kind of mistake? Is this where we're supposed to be?
Oh yes, this is, I assure you, I'm everywhere I'm supposed to be. And for the moment, so are you.
All right, well, guess I'll just have to see, I guess.
Smoke, and he offers you a cigarette. Being a member, being a kindred, you know the instinctive fear that flares in your heart, even when a small flame approaches you. This is clearly a power play of some kind.
Yeah, I flinch and kind of shrink back in my seat and be like, no, I'm all right, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, suit yourself. We only die twice. And the car pulls up to the mansion. And you exit. with that, we'll end that scene. Pastor Joseph, how do you spend your nights these days?
At night, mostly in solitude, in the one church that I spent my last days as a mortal.
I see. Do you have a name for this church, or should it just be, or should it be known uh, for the locals?
New Orleans Church of God.
New Orleans Church of God. Is this a place where fire and brimstone is spoken, or a place where redemption is offered?
Mostly redemption, just something that people can believe in and hold on to even after Sunday service is over.
I see. It's this evening, some time shortly after midnight. Sitting in a pew, alone in thought, not made uncomfortable, unlike most of your kindred, by this holy place. You hear the door open. You see a figure approaching inside. A man in a gray suit. Looks as though he stepped out of a bygone era. Father Joseph, Pastor Joseph, excuse me. Uh, it is so very nice to meet your acquaintance tonight.
Likewise, what brings you to this holy place?
Oh, well, I'm afraid I've got not afraid. I'm honored to let you know that your presence has been requested by the prince.
Right, the prince.
Yes. So, anything that you feel like is necessary for your endeavors, why don't you grab that real quick and you and I'll mosey on down. This is a nice place you got here. I can understand the comforts. He finds himself looking at a painting on the wall. Some of the art, I think the artist took a little bit too much creative license, if you understand what I'm saying.
Sure, it's all up to everyone's perspective on things.
Well, are you ready to go?
Uh, I might need a couple minutes to myself just to mentally prepare where I'm going to.
Oh, no worries. You take your time. But remember, we gotta go sometime. We all gotta go sometime. And he stands in the middle of the church, and a quick burst of flame emits from his lighter as he takes a long draw off a cigarette. Undead lungs filling with smoke before breathing out. Not impatient, but comfortable in this holy place.
I continue what I was doing before. Just make sure I'm reading a couple passages and see that my path is still my own. And I get up pretty shortly after and continue following without a word.
And he takes you to his very old car and begins to drive you uptown. This is a place where those who scoff at your religion, those who scoff at you for holding up to your faith, dwell. This is a place for those who have embraced the demon inside of them. A place for those who have forsaken the way and forsaken God. You know the importance of these figures, but you cannot feel, but though they live in darkness, they have no hope of seeing the light again. And you ride in this stranger's car, Is there anything you wish to address?
What do you feel like in this body of yours?
Well, I tell you, some days it's hard to know if I'm coming or going, but I think I like where I'm at. The
So you
moon's real pretty, and what can I say? There's something real nice about, well, the various indulgences that I kind of can get up to.
some people accept what comes into their body no matter what, and sometimes I feel like that's way too lax of them. It's very dangerous to just let everything go as they roll.
No, Pastor, you keep that fire. You keep that belief and you hold it tight to your chest. But remember, any fire you hold inside can burn the cage that contains it. As he stops, as he stops the car in front of the elaborate manor of the prince. I'm going now. Knock on the door and you'll find your way in. I feel like you'll always be able to find a path, Pastor.
There's always only one path. And I get up and go to the manor.
All right. Tabitha, what does this night hold for you?
I would imagine the night has begun. She's arrived at the ladies' one of their many buildings of many corporations they own. Um, roughly handling human resources, mostly paperwork, with the exception of one person that's been there, unfortunately, till 8 o'clock, trying to fix many mistakes and unfortunately must be relieved of their services.
Hmm, how unfortunate. And the ladies in your company this night?
No, I would believe Tab works for the lady, but it's mostly like corporate, like shell companies. The lady would probably be he had facilitated her to work there and is doing the work for the lady of running this uh, the human resources of this corporation.
All
And
right.
so having this one person just coming in and going, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go. It's so
Is
unfortunate.
is this why you called me in here at 10 o'clock at night to tell me that I was fired?
Well, it wouldn't make much sense for us to fire you without the completion of your work. Now that would just be very, you put so much effort into the work. It'd be a waste just to let it go uncompleted.
I can't believe this. I'll be talking to my lawyer.
Uh, well, tell Jerry that Tabitha says hello.
How do you and she
This
looks deep
isn't the first time I've had to talk to his lawyers.
she looks deeply unsettled. And after regaining her composure, she walks out, attempting to slam the door, but something in the tone of your voice seems to have unnerved her in some way. After a few minutes, the phone on your desk rings. You answer.
Hello, this is Tabitha Bell. How can I be of assistance?
Why, hello there, Miss Tabitha. It's a pleasure to finally make your acquaintance. I'm just outside your door right now, and your presence has been requested in front of the prince. Do you think you would be amenable to such a meeting?
Well, if you can be kind enough to snuff out that flame while I'm in your vehicle, why, certainly.
Oh, I think I can do that for you. I'll be at your office real soon.
Oh, quite thank you. Have a good day.
And as soon as you hear as soon as you hear the phone line go dead, the door opens without a knock. You see the same figure that everyone else is addressed tonight. Well, hello. Are you ready to go? Sorry, I'm running a little behind.
Oh, it's understandable. You've had a busy night, I assume.
Oh, there's no rest for the wicked, man. You know
Oh, yes, and we are quite wicked.
that. Is there? He looks to your outfit. Anything you would like to change into before we make our grand entrance to the prince tonight?
um, I make it a. eh, I'm always fashionable. I know. I maybe I should probably polish up the shoulder pads. They can glisten a bit more, but I can certainly do that in the car.
Uh, I'll never understand these fashion trends today. Follow
Oh,
me.
don't worry, honey. It's not your job to understand.
Your ride's outside. And
Thank you kindly.
he leads you back to his car, the very same that the rest of our players have encountered tonight, and drives you silently, wordlessly, to the prince's manor. Is there anything you do to break the silence?
Uh, no, like she literally had gotten out from her pocket a little bit of polish and has been polishing her golden shoulder pads.
All right. To cover the awkward silence, you hear the somewhat um, unnerving tones of Napoleon the 14th. They're coming to take me away. Ha ha! They're coming to take me away. As you drive and are led out in front of a grand palace, antebellum in make, that could only be the prince's. Do you exit the car?
Yes, she does a little bow before exiting and before closing the door and forgetting about the driver altogether.
He tips his hat to you, pulls out a cigarette, and holding the flame near to his face, takes a deep breath. Silas, what are you doing tonight?
Well, unless Leroy has already called me, I'm probably uptown somewhere in a bar. I'm just sitting by myself off in a corner, just twiddling a bottle cap I found on the table. I'm focusing on the music, just trying to get my head together.
What's on the radio tonight?
This is the reason why I chose the bar. Some nostalgia. I needed that. Some grunge, probably some old Nirvana.
Back in the days when you could still see the day, before
Yeah.
the night was your only companion. You get a message from your contact. Remind me, are you still close with your sire?
Uh, I I look at the phone again, going. uh, I I quickly type down. It's complicated, but I guess you could call it that. Yeah.
I see. and you, your sire, the message is returned to you. It's time to make your grand entrance, my child. Tonight's the night. Where are you?
I
A few seconds
La-
later, before you can finish typing, a message comes through. Oh, of course. I should have known. A car will be there soon. You remember your sire's odd penchant for preternatural foresight.
yeah, I always get taken aback a bit by that every time. I don't answer it. I know she knows. I'll wait.
As you wait outside, a taxi comes to pick you up.
All right.
Gunmetal gray and black, the driver seeming to have stepped out of a bygone era. He smiles and gestures to the back seat. Do you get in? Oh. Do you
Sorry, my
no
unmute
worries.
didn't work. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
All right. I do go into the car. I just nod on the way, and I don't ask any questions here.
Okay. The driver's taste in music is varied. Chopin 1 minute, Grande the next. And was that just the sound of grinding gears for some number of minutes? Odd. Very odd. With no conversation started, the driver takes you through downtown, into uptown, and finally onto Jackson Avenue, where houses far too fine for anyone of your young age to visit reside. Well, the prince will be waiting for you. Just go on up and knock on the door. I'm sure you'll get acquainted real quick.
I nod to him again. I turn around, walk towards the door. On the way, I
Oh, you're muted there, Slowpoke.
sorry about that.
No worries.
On my way up there, I would like to activate my premonition aspects too.
Excellent. All right. I think in this situation that won't require a roll. You see shadows. People, but not people. Beast of different makes, different creators, all standing together. Titans of bygone eras, emblazoned in glory of different designs, all seemingly forced to align themselves for one common goal. In the center of this room, there's an inky void of blackness, a presence that hangs heavy in the air, and something you can't quite understand, a mass of writhing knots, a tangling cord of what seems to be veins and lies made concrete. And you smell blood that's unfamiliar to you. And as you turn around, slightly unnerved by your premonition, the car is no longer there. Maeve and Lydia, after more than a day in the back of this car, your spine's cramped, your lungs hollow from the stale air, You finally feel the truck roll to a stop. The gate unlocks, the door slides up, and you're met with a face of a man in dark, mirrored sunglasses, informing each of you, now's the time to make your arrivals, as it were. I know where you live. I'll make sure the rest of the stuff makes it to your havens safely. I trust you each had a relaxing ride.
As I step out, I've been like just kind of hugging my raven, and then I let her go, and she just like stretches her wings and chatters at me angrily. I'm like, yeah, I know. And she kind of flaps up to my shoulder, and I look at the man and say, well, Shane sent
Sorry, I'm
us.
on mute. Was that leave me?
Yes, that's you as well. This is the gentleman standing in the back of the U-Haul truck.
Or Lydia?
Yeah, Lydia. He's talking with Lydia and Maeve at the moment.
Okay.
Maeve is letting her raven stretch its wings. Were you about to say something to him, Maeve?
Oh, I was sorry. I was just saying Shane sent us.
I know. I know who sent you. I know where you're from. And I know what you're about to get into. But I'm not paid to know things. I think it's time you each make your way inside. The prince is waiting.
All right. Thank
Any
you.
questions from you, ma'am?
No, just glad to be here.
Could I get your name?
Oh, I go by a lot of names. You can just call me the driver.
All right. We're at the manor.
You're at the manor.
Okay, so I guess I kind of nod and turn around sort of hesitantly and walk up the drive.
All right. As you turn back, Lydia at your side, the vehicle is no longer in sight. And I think
Not
with all
spooky.
of our players at the manor, this is a lovely time for us to take our break. Thank y'all so much for tuning into this, the first half of La Famille Boucherie. And we're gonna go on a real quick break to let our players quench their thirst, whatever that may be, and stretch their legs. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. Raven, if you want to take it away. Thank you so much, Raven. And thank you to our oh so kind audience for hanging with us and living through that little bit of dramatic tension that we ended the scene on. So, just as a reminder to all of our watchers out there, those who are voyeuristically enjoying the darkness within these characters, darkness does lie ahead. La Famille Boucherie is a program that embraces the night, the darkness within it, alongside the darkness within each of us. As such, this game may feature content that is troubling or triggering to some viewers. If you're sensitive to topics such as homelessness, drug use, blood play, violence against innocents, gaslighting or manipulation, thievery, body horror, or other monstrous themes that may arise during play, please proceed with caution. Otherwise, we invite you to share our story and bask in that which makes us human and that which brings out the inner beast in us all. Laissez le bon temps brûler. Let's let the good times roll. All right. So, where we left off before our break, each of the players, mostly separately, had taken a trip with an individual known as only the driver and found themselves outside the manor of the prince's estate. Who was the first to arrive?
Good question. I say that I'm the first to arrive.
All right. As you knock, the door opens quickly. A older man, tan skin, white hair, balding in a bit of a horseshoe pattern, nods. Pastor Joseph, we've been expecting you. Please, follow me.
Very well.
And he leads you inside to a lush, comfortable lounge. The chairs are overstuffed, if somewhat out of time, and on a table there are 9 goblets, each empty, each intricately designed. And as you sit there and wait no longer than a minute or two, our next guest arrives. Who is our next guest?
I'd probably arrive next.
As you knock, you're greeted by the same older gentleman. Mr. Michael, it's nice for you to drop in this evening. Please, you seem enthusiastic.
I guess, I mean, you know, opportunity and all that. Nice place you got here. Big.
It's certainly fills the void. Please, this way. As the old man leads you to a parlor. Pastor Joseph, what does Mikey see as he walks into the room?
Okay. You see a well-dressed, dark brown skinned man with a bald head and a thin graying beard. He's probably in his 40s. He wears a black suit with a purple tie and religious robes across the shoulders that have purple silk lining on the inside. And he has black formal jeans with a belt and brown embroidered boots. Carrying a book with him as well.
Is this book obviously the good book?
It's more, yes, it's a bit of a smaller version, full of passages that he wrote in himself.
I see. And Mikey, as you enter the room, seeing this new face, perhaps? Who
So,
does the pastor see?
so the pastor sees his polar opposite, basically. Quite a short, thin, scruffy-looking fellow, fairly young, maybe late 20s. He looks like he's been homeless. He's wearing a tattered black hoodie, hood drawn over his face. Everything's kind of tattered and holes and dirt everywhere. He's quite in his face, quite excitable, as if kind of always alert, that kind of like constant alertness feel to him. He's got dirty blonde hair, kind of muddy brown eyes, ears that are a little bit pointier than you'd expect. But most strikingly is his bane, as a member of Clan Nosferatu, in that he's obviously very pale. He's got kind of very sunken skin. He's got kind of patches of red and swollen all over his skin. And he's also got his nose is basically covered with skin. So the skin just right covering over his nose. And he has very sharp, pointy teeth, which are very, very thin, and little kind of almost claws for hands. Again, very, very small, pointy little nails. Yeah, and he looks at the same time eager and also quite uncomfortable and sticking to the shadow.
All right. And though this room is well lit in places, there is shadows for you to sculpt to. Pastor, how does it feel seeing something that resembles this beast inside you that you deny?
I feel like this is the challenge of man rather than the challenge of the Almighty, and that in order to continue doing what I am devout to do, I would do anything.
I see. Standing in tense silence, the father holding his book, the sewer rat hiding in the shadows. There's another knock at the door. Who's the next to arrive?
The Tabitha, and the knock is of a shave and a haircut, rather than an actual, most typical knots of the others.
See, you're let inside. Same old man, seeming to become a little bit winded. You can actually hear the forced drawing of breath. Perhaps a kine or a ghoul, but not one of you. As he shows you in, you see first the father, and then Mikey occupying the space before you. Who do they see?
They see uh, almost normal and physique, like female, like very slender in their build, uh, very tan, almost bronze skin, with fiery red amber hair that seems to match this uh, red gothic red jacket that has two shoulder pads that are golden with silver tassels just off it, with a nice button-up suit underneath and a vest underneath a red jacket with nice long, almost very kind of like professional black shoes. And what really would come out of place to anyone looking at her is her shoes are of this very red and black design that look more suited for dancing rather than walking around with.
Thank you. And as Tab enters the room, what does she do?
I believe like her first thing would probably be drawn to Mikey, I believe, right? Yeah, and just going, oh dear lord. Is that all you're gonna go with? Am I gonna add anything extra?
Oh, well, I didn't realize there was a dress code. Did I?
No, 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 no. Not a dress code, like something to show off. To like, here, I'll do something, and pulls out kind of like two like, kind of like fingerless gloves. Like, here, this should at least finish your ensemble. Have it all matching.
Mikey kind of looks at the gloves as if they're a little offensive. Kind of takes them anyway and looks at them for 2 seconds, and then just slowly kind of slides them over his kind of claws. And yeah, I guess they had something.
They're nice fabric. They're definitely well made. This is not something that would come from the Mart of Walls or the Roger. This is bespoke almost. It's odd that someone would just carry something like this around, especially if they're not going to wear them. Is there anything else that Tabitha does?
She does bow to the pastor. Hello there, father.
Greetings, child.
And then afterwards, kind of like sits down on a chair in a very cat-like way of just like the feet, almost kind of like she's sitting in there with her legs and feet in the chair, rather than let the feet actually land on the floor.
Okay. And as Tabitha sits, the door knocks yet again, and you all register a look of surprise on the aged gentleman's face. Clearly, he was not expecting the guest to arrive in such rapid fashion. So he sighs and makes his way back to the door. Jet, how do you enter?
I enter as the door is open for me. I'm fairly I'm fairly lanky, but I mean average height. Uh, my most striking thing is probably I have auburn hair and a big hairdo, just straight out of the 80s. I'm wearing a dark maroon trench coat, off-white dress shirts, open cuffs, jet black dress pants, some black leather shoes, along with aviators with a dark red tint in them, which I remove as I enter.
Okay. And as you walk in, led by this gentleman, you see three kindred before you.
I nod.
Do you sit? Do you move to
Until
strike
I'm
conversation?
until I'm instructed or forced to, I will not.
Okay. And seeming to sense a pattern, the gentleman only walks halfway back to the parlor before turning around and waiting at the door. Lydia and Maeve, who of you knocks?
I look to Lydia and kind of back up the driveway where the car disappeared suddenly, and kind of shrug with one shoulder because the big freaking raven is on the other, and reach a hand up and knock.
As you do, the door is open before you, and you're gestured inside.
Okay, nod and walk in.
You each see the same room as the others. Large chairs overstuffed, books lining the walls, a coat of arms hanging above a dead fireplace. A long table exists in the center with 9 goblets.
Okay.
Do either of you approach anyone, or do you maintain your distance? This is the first time that you've had to stretch your legs since you left New Jersey.
Is there like a chandelier or anything?
Yes, there is a chandelier.
Okay, I think the raven is a little more impatient than I am, and she flops her way up to the chandelier, and I kind of just stretch while looking around at everybody.
And Lydia?
I'm observing, looking around and around, stopping on each and every one of us. Then I wander off to a corner.
Is this a corner near Mikey or on the opposite side of the room?
A corner on the opposite side, kind of away to myself.
Okay. And as you all sit, or stand, or lurk in this strange layer that none of you are familiar with, you have nothing to do but wait, holding your breath if there was still breath to hold in anticipation. After some time, the doors open, and you see 4 figures walking out. I'm sorry, Michael, did you want to say something?
Oh no! It's like Tabitha's eyes the whole time are looking at the raven, just kind of like paying more attention to that than anything else in the room.
Okay.
As the doors open, Maeve kind of glances up and goes, "Nikolai," and that comes back to her shoulder.
Okay.
And Tabitha just follows and like seems to be paying more attention to the raven more than anything else.
All right. As this room, as these figures enter the room, you see 4 figures walk in. One, a man in his late 50s, who holds himself with a air of well-earned arrogance. He walks with power in each footsteps and confidence that seems unbridled. As he walks in, you feel your attention immediately drawn to him through the supernatural discipline of presence. And though you have each dealt with this before, just the moment that his gaze stops on you, your heart would skip a beat if it had one to skip. And you feel as though the room brightens for just a moment as he stands and takes a seat at the head of the table. The next is a well-dressed man in a suit of silver and black. Tall and lanky, hair falling well past his shoulders in a blonde mop, though the blonde seems to be artificial in nature, not something bestowed to him by time. He too comes and sits at the left hand of the head of the table. The third figure, a short, older woman who walks as though there's a predator within each of her steps. She holds herself not threateningly, but with the assurance that she will be here long after each of you are gone. You notice at her hip there is a blade, a long sword with an onyx tipped pommel. And she bears the same coat of arms on her breast that hangs in the ceiling. The final guest seems a little more out of place. This is a young man wearing a fine Italian suit, what seem to be handmade shoes, black hair greased back, and seems a little awestruck and a little sure of himself. Though those of you with keen senses will notice that his eyes are slightly glazed over. This man stands by the table next to the older woman who sits at the right hand of the head of the table. The man at the head, who those of you who have been in the city for long enough will identify as Sir Marcel, the Prince of New Orleans. Gestures for each of you to sit down. Hello, my fine guest. It's a pleasure to meet each of you, though I assume the pleasure is more yours than mine.
You would assume.
Oh, please, do have a seat. And with that snide comment, you do draw the attention of the woman who those of you in the city would recognize as Eliza Graves, the city's scourge. The third figure, the man dressed nicely. Pastor, you will have had interactions with this man in the past. This is Father Iago, another Malkavian, another who shares your burden and your blessing. One who, perhaps, a time or two, you found solace in his words, as he still believes in walking the path of light, at least when it's convenient to him. None of you will recognize the man who is still standing. How do you all proceed?
Now, is there a point to this that we can get to, or would you just like to revel in familiarities?
As you say that, you feel a oppressive weight hit your shoulders as the prince makes eye contact with you. And he smiles, though you see his fangs, and he says in a voice that echoes throughout your skull, "Please, sit." And
I've been
you find
sitting.
oh, okay.
Yeah, she's just been sitting like a cat, like with
Um,
her feet kind of like in the chair along with her.
as these words echo through your head, you find yourself walking across the room, pulling a seat, and sitting obediently, waiting for 5 seconds before you realize that you didn't move of your own accord. You've just been dominated.
That's
Um,
very fine and nice.
I think Maeve will kind of recognize the position to the right hand of the prince as the scourge or the sheriff,
Mhm.
and she kind of does the math. There are 9 seats, and she bites the bullet and pulls the seat next to the scourge of Nolans.
Very well.
Her raven hops up to the back of it.
Okay. How
Uh,
does ever? Yes.
Sorry, I was going to say, Mikey will quite quickly after the sit command was said, will kind of scramble over to the seat furthest away from the prince and kind of sit there and, with the head down.
Joseph will put the book away and calmly sit down.
Silas
Lydia.
will take a seat next to Maeve.
Lydia
Lydia.
takes the last seat.
Very well. All of you sitting, except for this strange young man with glazed eyes. And the prince claps The older gentleman walks back into the room. Lonzo dear, please get the special vintage. And the man leaves, silence blanketing the room, before he comes back with a large bottle of what seems to be wine. He pours each of you a glass. The only one to not receive this glass is the man standing. Cheers, my friends, my subjects, for it is now time for each of you to earn your place in this, our fine city. Let the good times roll. Laissez les bons temps brûler.
I hold up the goblet, kind of wait for everyone.
I raise my goblet along with Maeve.
Mikey will see everyone else raise theirs, quickly just slip it down. Just no manners at all, everywhere.
Jet just waits for the monologue to end before he quickly shots it.
I keep the goblet raised.
Very well. Does anyone not partake in the wine?
I do not.
For those that do, this is sweet. This is heavenly. This is not the blood from a beating heart. A far cry from the cold, sterile, stale taste of bagged blood. This is the nectar of the gods themselves. If you could remember the feeling of sunlight on your skin, the joy and bliss of that memory condensed into liquid is what passes through your lips. And though some of you try to drink slowly with sophistication and class, electricity passes through your lips as the first drop touches your tongue, and you feel compelled to drink. And you drink deeply, each of you downing the glass. Pastor, you notice that you've caught the prince's eye. Drink, he says, his fangs baring for just a moment, and you feel compelled to do so.
I very much will.
This for you is giving in to a sin. You know that this is something that you should not taste, yet it is everything the devil promised Jesus while he was fasting on the mountain. This is the sins of knowledge. This is the sins of man. This is the sins of the angels that were thrown into heaven. This is good.
Yes, and it's not just a 42 brigade.
No, you'll all be aware this is the vitae of an elder, the blood of one who has seen the world far longer than you. And you each now have one level of blood bond to the prince. As you drink, you feel your opinions of him grow slightly more fond. You feel as though he's doing the right thing. He's in the right place. And how lucky you are to be in his presence this night. He smiles, finishing his own glass. Says, well, now that the formalities are taken care of, I suppose it's about time that we get down to business.
Yes.
Father Igor, would you please introduce our esteemed guest to these loyal subjects. And Father Iago stands up and puts his hands on the shoulder of the man in the fine Italian suit. He says, "Well, but of course, now some week ago we found this here young gentleman lost and wandering our streets, and we did the hospitable thing of taking him in, and in exchange we just asked him a few questions. Unfortunately, the answers that he provided were unsatisfactory. Now, son, I'm gonna give you one chance to tell us who you are and why you're here. And though glazed eyed, you see resolve form in this kindred as he stands tight lipped, enduring the presence of the father, a small trickle of blood running from his lips as he fights himself to keep from speaking. Very well. Same question, same answer. Oh my. Lonzo, do bring in our final guest. And Lonzo reappears. This time with a woman. Looks to be just getting off of her job. Nice blouse, business slacks. She seems to be in a daze, though comfortable. Clearly under the dominance of an elder vampire. She stops and smiles in front of this well-dressed man. And Tabitha, you do recognize her.
Yes.
This is the woman that you had to let go earlier.
Yes.
I predicted the future.
And the prince says, "Drink." His voice echoing, though you feel his attention not directed at you, but at this new vampire. And he holds himself stock still for just a moment, resisting the urge as best he can before the beast takes over. He sinks his fangs into the neck of the woman, and for each of you that regularly feed from the kind who know this song and dance, there's a moment of resistance, and then the kiss takes its effect. The unspeakable ecstasy, the sheer bliss that comes from the touch of kindred fangs into the blood of kine. And soon any resistance falls away in just a moment. However, this is not how this feeding goes. Moments after the fangs pierce the skin of the woman who's already having a pretty bad night, she screams in agony, her body twisting and writhing as though she's being burned with a hot poker at the very spot that should be causing ecstasy. He, encouraged almost by his victim's pain, he sinks his teeth, dig deeper and deeper in before Father Iago pulls his head away and the victim collapses to the floor, whimpering in agony. The prince says, "Now, I'm sure you all are wondering, why the hell did that happen? I'm wondering that a little bit myself."
I'm not.
Tap, you would be aware, all of you would be aware that this is not the way that a feeding should go.
Does Jet, with his occult knowledge, know what kind of vampire this is?
Let's see. Why don't you go ahead and make a wits and occult roll for me?
Well, like if it helps, like Tabitha is just thinking that the prince is just being very gauche about everything. So
Sure,
does
no worries.
like she's assuming that this is just being the prince showing strength and being over gauche, over rude, in her opinion, because there's no style, no substance to it.
All right.
Let's see, did I roll the right one there? I think so.
Let me see. That should pop up in the chat in just a second. Yeah. So that's 3 successes. Um, this is definitely the, this agony brought on is supernatural in origin, as there is nothing more than the 2 small puncture wounds. This kindred hasn't been chewing and gnawing away to the bone as the woman made it out to seem. Uh, However, you're not familiar with any kindred with this type of kiss. Um, it's a little unsettling. You know this is something supernatural. You don't know what.
All right. Jet is not going to say anything, but he's keeping avid attention at this Italian person.
Is there anything that any of the rest of you are doing as this scene unfolds in front of you?
Mikey's just watching, kind of wide-eyed, fascinated, excited, but doesn't say anything.
Still riding the blood high, and now this voyeuristic feeding in front of you. Can understand the thrill.
Are you continuing to be so gauche about us all? There are better ways, you know.
The prince looks to you and seems to have stopped caring. Make a willpower roll for me there, Tabitha. Oh, we have no music. I just realized.
Okay, where is Will? Because I'm having trouble finding it.
No
Are you
worries.
sure you're not meaning wits?
Yes. So it's going to be on core, and below traits there will be willpower and health.
Oh, okay. So that would be willpower roll.
Yes. Oh, I think you've got that done backwards. You should have 4 willpower, not all the willpower.
It looks like I have that.
So the green is
Oh,
green
yeah, it
means
just says I have 5 there.
Yeah.
So,
all right, cool. So I'm gonna do a quick tinker on this, and we'll see. All right. You feel personally targeted and hurt by the prince's indifference towards you. You manage to avoid taking any willpower damage, but it stings your very soul knowing that this person is not giving you their favor. And with that, the prince says, "Very well. If does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask our friend here? Perhaps you are able to get him to loosen his tongue a little bit more than I was able to." No? No takers?
Is he bound at all?
He is held in place by Father Igor.
Okay.
Oh, also, thank you so much for the follow, Alan Signed. It is super appreciated. Thanks a lot. We hope you are enjoying the show.
I'm going to send my raven just talons out at this vampire's eyes.
All right. And your raven finds purchase. Claws sinking into the to the cheeks, and beak quickly plucking an eye from its socket.
And it kind of does it like really fast, just there and gone, and back to the back of the chair.
Okay. And yeah, it has the eyeball still dangling from the optical nerve. But you noticed that there was no flinching, no sign of pain. Well, I think that was a little bit exciting. Oh, if there's no further questions for our guest, I think it's time that he be shown his way to the door.
Jet will stand up.
Okay, what will Jack do?
Jet looks towards him and asks him, "What is your name?" and uses mesmerize.
Okay, go ahead and make the roll for mesmerize. All right. Instructions immediately to use instructions required. Go ahead and make a rouse check for me. So on your character sheet, rouse will be at the bottom. As you attempt to call on the blood to give yourself preternatural ability to command. Oh shit! I was looking at your character sheet, Jet. Sorry about that. All right. You are. You feel the hunger grow a little in your belly. And were it not for this exquisite blood that you had just dined on, you would know that your time to feed would be getting sooner. But thanks to this fine meal, so kindly provided to you by the prince, you're able to fight the beast off. A contest of manipulation plus dominate is now in order. So please make that roll for me.
Let's see, I'm not able to find where I can do that.
Okay, so head down to your head on your character sheet. Check out your discipline. You've got dominate. Click on that, and mesmerize is going to be, I believe it was intelligence plus discipline. And now that that's filled in, you can click on the dice next to it. Oh, manipulation plus dominance. Sorry about that. So underneath the powers tab on your character sheet, click on the dice next to power 2 mesmerize. Oh, you got it. Fantastic. Wow. He seems to fight you off for just a second before he says, "You can call me Resambra. I am a dignitary from the Hekata. And the prince smiles and looks impressed. And you feel your heart absolutely glow with his approval.
I feel uncomfortable at the notion. I nod and I sit back down.
My, that was unexpected. But I think it's about time for our guest here, Mr. Lasombra of the Carter, to make his departure. Miss Eliza, if you would please show him the door. And Eliza, the Scourge, rises from her seat, confidently walks to the back of where this Italian man, apparently of Clan Hecata, stands. She does not draw her blade. Instead, you see her hands elongate, turning into sharp talons, nails becoming knives, skin hardening into bone. As she swings down at the point of his shoulder, severing his torso in two before reaching inside and pulling a dried, crusted heart from his chest. He stands gasping for just a moment before she crushes his heart in her palm. And he burns for only a moment, instilling each of you with a small spark of fear at the quick and sudden burst of fire, one of the mortal enemies of your kind, before falling to ashes.
Bravo, bravo. Quite a show.
The prince says, well, now with that little inconvenience taken care of, I suppose it's time that we get down to what each of you are doing here. So, apparently, Clan Hecata, whoever the fuck they are, is trying to make a move into our territory. And me being the kind and reasonable fella that I am, you know, in New Orleans, we do things a little bit differently. We like to be upfront with those who are upfront with us. That's why we have deals with the majors, why we tolerate those flea-bitten lupines' presence. We make things work in this city. What I don't abide by is unexpected guests trying to worm their way in and find a home in my bed. My bed has no place for bed bugs. My head no room for louse. Now, I would send some of my higher-ups on this, but I think having their attention focused on it might send the wrong message to some of the other kindred in this city. And we want to keep this nice and low-key. So I'm going to send the 6 of you out, and you're going to find for me who the hell these Sakata are, and what in the fuck they're doing in this city. And when all's said and done, I'm going to be real proud of y'all. And at even the idea of his praise and approval, your eyes sparkle, and you feel desire more than anything for that approval. You just want his favorable gaze. And says, now some important things for you all to keep in mind during your time in this city, as I know some of you are new. 1, the city functions. The city is to function, and the city will remain functioning. We don't do business by interrupting business. So your first tenet is maintain the function of the city. Next, it's important to remember that allies are allies. We are a city of treaties and agreements, And while we currently hold the upper hand, things could go bad for us at any time should we be seen as dishonest. Your second tenant, uphold established treaties. And one final thing, make sure that you teach these pests a lesson. Not only dispatching them, but letting them know what happens when you come to party in Cajun country. Your third tenant is do not be slighted. Now, with the formalities done and over with, I think that you all have some work to do. You carpetbaggers, it seems that y'all have already been set up with a place in this city, right? Oh yes, Miss Tabitha. What can I help you with?
Just before things are wrapped up, you could have just simply asked and not have to deal with a blood bond. You know that, right?
Yes, but this is so much more fun, don't you think?
I would disagree because I prefer a bit more honesty and style in my matters, but you do you.
Of course. And so, if there's no questions, are there questions?
No, it was just answering your question. We're good. We have a place.
Uh, well, don't let me keep y'all.
Okay. Carpetbaggers out.
And with that, do each of you make your way out?
Yeah,
Jeff
though.
will stand back up for this and again nod, and for the first time speak to him. Leave my regards to Miss Leroy as he leaves.
Of course. And with that, you're all led back into the lobby. And where do you plan to take this upon the setting of the next sun? You feel the urging in your bones and the prickles of anticipation as the sun is not far from the horizon. How do you plan to continue on the next night?
So this is more like a huddle up then, I suppose.
Yeah.
Alright.
One thing like Tab would do before leaving would at least give actually a curtsy to the Surge before leaving,
Mhm.
which I can get if like that's a bad move, but her idea like here is the Surge acted much more professional than the Prince did.
Yeah, the scourge is the enforcer of the prince. Maeve and Lydia are familiar with the term sheriff, but different regions use different terminology. In New Orleans, the sheriff is the scourge, the prince's right hand, and that which dispatches any problems that might occur. Yeah, so is there anything that y'all want to discuss before you make your way to your respective havens?
Mikey would just. Sorry, I don't want to.
No, it's okay.
Oh, Mikey
ahead.
would just kind of look at it, kind of step, it'd been shrinking back until now, so he kind of steps forward a little bit, says, so we gotta meet somewhere tomorrow, right? And sort this out. I mean, anyone got any ideas on where we're gonna meet and how we go about this?
I have a few places if you do not know of any. I'm more open-ended on those discussions.
To Maeve, this feels pretty temporary, like a temporary job. So I'm assuming my sire gave me the address of where we're staying before we left,
Yes.
and I'll just distribute it to everyone. This is
It's a nice apartment in the French Quarter. It's nice.
yeah.
This is a good neighborhood. Maeve and Lydia probably would not be familiar with it, but the rest of you are probably slightly taken aback by how nice the accommodations of these out of towners are.
Well done.
Wouldn't surprise me if Jet's house is in the vicinity.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we're staying for now. Honestly, have no idea where it is. Haven't been there yet. But we could meet either there or in the area.
Well, I would, as you're learning, it would make sense for us to meet at this location. Make it as easy as possible for you.
The best would be to get connected quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So, with plans made to meet the following evening at the haven of Maeve and Lydia, you each make your way back to your havens, finding comfort and solace far away from the light of day. As you take your final thoughts before dropping into torpor, the city begins to rise and bustle, unaware of the occupants that now call this city home. And everyone, I think that's going to be where we call it. So thank y'all so much for putting some nice cricket noise. Or Raven, actually, if you want to play that real happy song that you use for the TikTok files, I think that might be appropriate, or some other happy little doodle. I think we could all do with a little bit of cheerfulness at the end of this. So thank y'all so much. Really appreciate. We had a fantastic viewer count this entire game. Thank y'all so much. We really appreciate all the chat interactions and what everyone has had to say during the stream. This has been absolutely delightful, such a fantastic time, an absolute honor to be on the channel. So we're going to do the normal Black Feather Guild thing, and we're going to go by in reverse order this time. And everyone give us a shout out, remind us who you are, and what your favorite part of the session was, or something that you really enjoyed in the session. And that means we'll start with Tess or Charlie. What was your favorite part, and where can we find you?
My favorite part definitely had to be the surprise feeding. That really, I didn't expect anything, but that was really cool. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, both by the same tag, Test the World.
Awesome. Mikey, same from you. What was something that you really enjoyed today, and what was where can we find you at if you want to be found?
So I really enjoyed the eyeball ripping. That was the highlight for me. Gotta say, hopefully many more of that kind of thing. You can't really find me. I'm a bit of a ghost. You can find me on the Black Feather Discord, tag Natatui. Other than that, I don't really have Twitter or any other kind of social medias. So.
Oh, and if you have any upcoming games where we can catch you next, please feel free to share those too. Tess, do you have anything before our game next week?
No, this is it. But I'm willing to jump in on anything. I'm still like new to RPGs and things like that. So
awesome. And Nat, do you have anything to promote before we move on?
I do not know, sadly.
Okay, excellent. Nuya, what was your favorite part? Where can we find you? And where can we expect you next?
My favorite part was probably the car ride over to the manor, because it established a lot of tension and difference of interpretation. And you can find me at my Twitter handle, Kaze_EZ. I usually go by Nuya though. By my knowledge, I think I have Michael's game on Monday and this game on every Tuesday, I believe. So that's where you'll find.
Awesome. Michael, the man, the myth, the legend, the GIF maker. Where can we find you? What was your favorite part? And where, the whole spiel.
For me, my favorite part actually would have to be much with the Surge in particular. When it came to that, like that kind of like stole the show for me. Like, just I liked her a whole lot. The other for out of the players, that was actually the introduction before for both Mob and I believe Charlie, right? Were the ones that were coming down.
Yeah, there are New Jersey residents.
Yeah.
Thank you for the music, Raven.
Yeah, the little bit in Jersey, that was part I really enjoyed. You can find me on Twitter as Michael Wayne. You give me a clip, I'll give you a GIF. You can see me again here on Monday for Chaos with the Fleshmaker's Folly, which I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what they do with that cake monster. Oh, I have many ideas with that. Remember,
Hopefully, it's not devil's food.
Well, no, that's what happened earlier on in the episode. They did defeat the devil's food. Now it's the large cake monster they have to take on.
Let me guess. It knows it's a pound cake.
Well, that's spoilers.
Oh, sorry. No spoilers. Spoiler-free channel here. Slowpoke, what was your favorite part? Where can we find you? And where can we expect you next?
All right. My favorite part. Literally anything Nuya says. The pastor and the pastor's voice is superb. I love it. The tension between him and the prince, awesome. Some of the best I've had played with in ages. That was great. As for where you can find me, I'm also a bit of a ghost, though I do on occasion drop in as a guest player on a mixer channel called 3 Stages on Tuesdays at 8:30 Japanese time, 8:30 p.m. that is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, Manic Horse. What was your favorite part? Where can we find you next? And well, the last question. I forgot which two I've already asked you.
That's a good point. I have no idea. Anyway, my favorite part was when I predicted the future. Sorry. It's pretty excited about that. But other than that, mostly like any interaction that Tab had with the prince, I was just kind of waiting for her to burst into flames. But yeah. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter loosely. Other than that, I mean, if you want to get a hold of me, you can, but it might take a few days. I guess I don't have anything else online. We have other games, but this is the only streamed one, so I'll see everybody next week.
Yeah.
Wee hours of the dawn.
Yeah, Japan time is rough. We started this game at 4:00 in the morning Japan time. So big thanks to Manic Horse for being awake during that unfortunate time slot. And yeah, I am Zan. Thank you all so much for enjoying this wild little ride with me. I can tell you that I was super anxious and excited to do this. I've been so excited to start this game on the channel for a long time, and I am elated at how well it went. You can find me at insanitygaming.com or twitter.com/insanityttrpg. Links are in chat. And I'm a professional DM and content creator for a couple of different tabletop games. Yeah, so this was a dark game, and we're going to do something a little unstandard. I'm going to ask the party one completely stupid, silly, goofy question, so we can all just kind of get the tension out and have a little bit of a laugh before we get off stream. So, man, of course, what's your favorite breakfast?
My favorite breakfast?
Yeah.
You're gonna ask me hard questions. I know you want me to say cereal, but that's not my favorite breakfast. I miss Perkins. Perkins breakfast set with breakfast potatoes and over easy eggs and bacon and a big ass breakfast muffin.
Hell yeah. Slowpoke, what's your favorite breakfast?
You put me in a spot there, and yeah, where to begin? Anything with eggs and bacon, man. Anything. Also, toast with mackerel in tomato. Norwegian thing.
Very Norwegian thing, it sounds like. But hey, more power to you. Michael, what's your favorite breakfast?
The one like I enjoyed the most, like I could think of, is I'd get these blueberry bagels with some ham and cheese, and just would toast the bagels and just eat the two together.
Excellent. Nuya, what about you?
A Philly cheesesteak hot pocket because I like to feel miserable.
Oh hell yeah, that sounds so good though. It sounds so good. I think my favorite breakfast is probably hash browns with shitty cheese slices and like some bacon minced in there. I'm definitely a Waffle House man. Nat, what about you?
Either simple buttered toast or eggs and bacon on buttered bread and coffee. Always coffee.
Oh, coffee's a must. Charlie.
I've been on a real big like pancakes and waffles kick lately. But I love Eggo waffles. Oh my gosh, more than anything.
Right. Oh man, I miss those like breakfast sausage wrapped in pancakes that Eggo you made for a little while. Miss those. Okay. So with our little funny bit going, I'm going to toss control back over to Raven, and we're gonna go on a raid. Again, thank you everyone so much for watching. This was an absolute blast, and I look so forward to seeing y'all next week, or if you're free, in a couple of hours, where I'll be playing in Raven's water campaign as a player this time. Yeah, Raven, you want to take it away? Personally, but I'm open to suggestions.
Nope, you were right. I am muted. I was muted on my microphone. I've got 3 different mute buttons for this whole setup. So, yeah, I have to make sure all of them are open. But yeah, that was fantastic. That was such a great game. I really enjoyed watching that. Everybody did really, really well. Thank you very much to the cast and, of course, to Zan for running the game. But yeah, we're going to go on a raid here. And yeah, I like that raid cry. We'll copy and paste the one that Michael's got in there. Of carpetbaggers out. But we're going to go raid Scraticus Academy. It's a fantastic channel. Looks like Alice is running a game over there right now, so definitely give them a follow if you're not following them already. And throw that raid cry out. And then, yeah, in, let's see, it's 4 p.m. here, so 3 hours from now, at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we will be doing the premiere of Water, which is a game that I've built. It's based on fundamental RPG and heavily influenced by games like Subnautica. So it is underwater survival. It's a lot more numbers crunchy style of game than I usually do, so I'm really excited to try something new. And we've had Econorlax build us a fantastic character sheet, so it will crunch a lot of the numbers for us, so you don't have to sit there and wait for us to count things out. It'll go pretty quickly. But I'm really excited. We've got a great cast over there as well. So definitely come back around and check that out. Again, that's at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And yeah, we're going to go on a raid, and I will see you later. Bye.